Dog Nation, please welcome the 23rd head men's basketball coach in Georgia history, Mike White.
I'm new to this bark. Can I hear a couple more of those barks? That's all you got? That's it? That is awesome. What a turnout. Thank you guys so much for coming out, supporting the dogs today. It was really neat to get a chance to meet a bunch of very, very influential Bulldogs back in one of these conference rooms here. I'll learn this building, of course, a little bit better here over time, but some of you all who traveled a long way and made another commitment to this university and to this program, and I'm very, very thankful. It was great to meet a lot of you, and I look forward to spending more time. Dog Pound, how cool is this? What a turnout. You guys are awesome. I cannot wait to spend time with you, learn more about you, develop some individual relationships, see what I can do to help you. But this has got to be less hospitable. Josh said it. This place has got to be raucous, and I've seen it raucous. This home game this year against Auburn was off the charts. Let's do it more often, right? Let's do it more often. I can't wait to be a very small part of it. It's a proud tradition, a proud brand, a proud athletic department, an unbelievable community. I'm a family guy. First and foremost, more than anything in life, those are the most important people to me. And I feel family when I'm here. It's hard to move a family. My incredible wife, Kira, my best friend, already been ordained a saint, dealing with that crew, as you can imagine, in the Spring Hill Suites last night. I'm sure we'll have some fines. There's probably some broken furniture. It was brutal. You guys want to introduce yourselves? Colin, Keegan, Rai, raise your hands. Maggie, Dylan. But she runs it. They're introverted like their mom. But Kira runs it, and it's hard to move a family. And if the perception of this community wasn't what it was, if the feeling that we get walking around this community and meeting with a bunch of the Bulldogs, if that feeling wasn't what it was, we wouldn't be here. This is a family place, and we're proud to be a part of this family. First off, President Moorhead and Josh Brooks, I really appreciate the very, very kind words, the unbelievable welcome. As excited as we were to be here, we continue to be more and more excited to be able to lead a special men's basketball program in an elite athletic department. This was a very, very hard decision, obviously, but one that we're incredibly excited about. Again, the community, the brand, the academics, the fertile recruiting base, the history. This is a place we feel very, very blessed to be. Our teams are going to play very, very hard. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to be selfless. We're going to play to win. We're going to recruit hard. We're going to coach hard. We're going to have successful, productive practices. We're going to have a family environment. We're going to love one another in our program. We're going to be brutally honest with one another. We're going to grow as young men. We're all going to be better leaders every day. I believe in the commitment that Josh and President Moorhead have to this program, the upside, the ceiling, the potential, and it is going to happen. It is going to happen here at Georgia, and I'm committed to helping them make that happen. I would like to thank, at the University of Florida, President Kent Fox, Jeremy Foley, who initially hired me, and Scott Strickland, who's been very, very supportive to my family and I. It's a new chapter for us, a new challenge, a unique challenge, one that I cannot express in words how excited I am to attack. Go Dogs, let's go, baby.
Coach, now we would like to give you a chance to answer a few pressing questions from our media members in attendance.
Our first question will go to Mike Griffith. Media members, if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get you a wireless mic. Thanks.
Coach, at Florida, I think you took the Gators to 4 of the 6 NCAA tournaments possible. What are the first steps for you to establish Georgia's new basketball identity, and what will it take for Georgia to become an annual NCAA tournament participant?
We've got to build. We've got to build. It's not going to happen overnight. We've got to grow. We've got to get better. We've got to get better offensively. We've got to get better defensively. Our chemistry, our basketball character, our level of accountability is all got to be elite in this league to be competitive. This is now the best basketball league in college basketball. We have the potential to get it done. We are going to get it done. And then hopefully in a few years, I'm being asked questions about maintaining it.
Coach, Chip Towers, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Just wondered when about did you decide that you may be interested in making a move, and kind of can you give us a little bit of a timeline as to when this decision was made for you?
It happened Sunday. I mean, it literally happened within a day. Was excited to get a call that Josh wanted to have a conversation. Josh reached out. We had a really productive conversation with he and President Moorhead and the cabinet, the search committee. We had a really lengthy conversation. And from there, again, it moved very, very quick, and I jumped at it. Just to be blunt with you, I just jumped at the opportunity, and before you know it, 6-8 hours later, Kira and I were sitting these kids down telling them that we're moving to Athens, Georgia. Anybody got a 7-bedroom?
Mike, Jordan Hill with Dogs 247. It's very rare that we see coaches move within the SEC. Just what was it like sort of going through this process, and what convinced you that this was the right move for you?
Sure. I've been asked that, and I've thought that, right? And as you're always evaluating the college basketball industry, it is a little bit more rare. For what reason, I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, people move from this league to that league. Sometimes people move up, sometimes people move laterally, sometimes people move down. And whether it's in a different league or your current league, I don't know at the end of the day whether or not that's a factor. For me, this is not about the place that I was. This is about Georgia. This is about an opportunity and a place that I really wanted to be.
Hey, Mike, Mark Weiser with the Athens Banner Herald. Joshua was talking about having everybody all in Georgia basketball. Did you need some assurances that the commitment was here, that the resources were here to make you comfortable?
Absolutely. Yes. Everything that I was looking for, everything that I wanted to hear, I have heard and I have seen. And that continued today throughout all of the meetings I've had with a bunch of these administrators. Had a really, really productive day. And I already feel like to a certain extent we've already hit the ground running. We've got a lot of work to do, obviously. And as a family, we've got to get settled. We've got to get a staff in place. We've got to get to the point where we've got a little bit of normalcy. But when we do, I'm going to be about as happy a camper as there is. I'm just fired up to get to that point.
Hey, Coach, this is Lance McCurley with the Licocone News. When you faced this team earlier this year, what were some things that you saw out of them on the court that they liked?
You know, first off, it's such a hard league now, and it's even the non-conference schedules, it's part of the increase in production and analytics and numbers, so on and so forth, the postseason opportunities with the Southeastern Conference, and the fact that we're all scheduling very, very difficultly. And as I was talking, I ran into Jabri earlier today, and we talked about the injuries that these guys have had and some of the injuries that we had, and everyone's dealing with stuff. It's tough, night in and night out. You're playing high-level teams. Because Georgia didn't win the SEC this year doesn't mean that they weren't a very good team. You know what I mean? This is incredibly difficult. We had our deficiencies. Just about every team in our league has some deficiencies. Obviously, we've got to tighten up a little bit in some areas. I look forward to studying film a little bit more and moving, starting backward and breaking stuff down defensively, offensively on the glass. But we can sit here and talk about deficiencies too. There's a lot of good players over here, and from everything that I hear, really good young men. And I thought that they did a lot of things really, really well. But there's just a fine line. There's a fine line, man, between winning and losing. And we're here to try to help facilitate that.
Hey, Coach. Palmer Toms, Dogs HQ. Obviously, recruiting is such a big part in building a program. From afar, what have you noticed about the state of Georgia in recruiting, and what's going to be your approach to that?
I think the state of Georgia is as fertile as any state in the country to recruit to. I've known that for a long time. It's why that when you come recruit the state of Georgia, you often see universities represented from a lot of different places throughout the country. And so we're going to recruit nationally, but obviously we're going to start here in this state and in Atlanta and in greater Atlanta, obviously, and hit all the high schools throughout this state. And then we're also going to recruit the rest of the Southeast. And again, I think that this brand is so strong that you can go a lot of places in this country, and Georgia resonates.
Mike, Dean Legge from Dog Post on the end. When you and your wife got together to tell your children, because looking from the age, they look like they've lived in Gainesville basically their entire life. How did y'all explain it to them, and what was their reaction? Because that's been their home for probably the bulk of their life.
Yeah, 7 years. Our oldest is 14, so they had a great experience there. They did, and the community was really good to my wife and kids, specifically the Queen of Peace community. I'll forever be grateful, Kira and I both. There was some excitement. There's some reservation too. What are we going to do with our Gator gear? Oh my, we're not going there. I give it to my friend, and maybe that one said, hey, let's go to Goodwill. And how do we go to the press conference without some red and black and white? And can I get some new gear? After they went to the bookstore today, we got them. They're geared up. We got stuffed animals and backpacks and hats and sweatshirts, and they're really, really fired up.
Hey, Mike, Connor Riley, Dog Nation. You mentioned filling out your staff. What sort of traits are you looking for in building a coaching staff, and what do you want to instill in this team going forward?
Toughness, togetherness, again, accountability. In our sport, what's really unique is 13 scholarship players. Whether or not you've got 15 or 16 on a team, it depends. Can you get that entire roster, or at least most, to sell out to winning above all? It's something that we all struggle with in our sport. You know, there's 5 guys on the court, only one guy can be touching the basketball, only one guy's going to get a shot that possession. 5 are going to start. Who's going to come off the bench? There's only going to be one leading scorer. How do you get guys to sell out to either that university and that name across the front of the chest, right? Or to each other, to the love for one another, to win above all else? Those are things that we'll continue to preach here, as I have in my last couple stops. We all have split-second opportunities to make the right play offensively and defensively throughout a 40-minute game. There's hundreds of them. And the old cliche, and guys don't want to hear it quite as much, a little bit more harsh to hear, is do your job, right? The old Bill Belichick. We're going to have split-second jobs throughout the game, and that's accountability, and we talk about that a lot. Did you block out or not? Did you close out with high hands or not? Did you sprint back and communicate or not? And we're going to practice doing that at a high level every single day. Kind of a snapshot of some of the things that we'll preach to team. What are we looking for in staff? The first part of your question. Guys that can recruit, guys that can coach, guys that can connect, good teammates with one another. Above all else, great mentors, great people that represent this place, that will help mentor these young men into the potential leaders that these guys can become, and obviously mentoring young men into men.
I think that's it for questions. I think that'll conclude the press portion of it. Go Dogs.
Well, Coach, I guess they said Sunday, so break it down. And you just break it down, film, and what are you doing when the phone rings
good call.
and the call happens?
Good call. Sunday, hanging out with Kira and the kids, we had decided to give our guys off a couple days after our unfortunate buzzer-beating loss to A&M. Boy, they had a great run afterward too, didn't they? Yeah, got a call from Josh, and he invited me on a Zoom with President Moorhead and the rest of the search committee, and we had a lengthy conversation and a really productive conversation, one that excited me a lot. And at that point, I was pretty quick to jump on board, and I wanted to be a Bulldog at that point. I felt really good about it. Kira and I had a quick conversation, of course. She was equally as excited, and she runs it, of course. So she was ultimately making the decision. And from that point, it was, I've got to have some conversations with these people that I love at this place, and I did. And had a couple hard conversations, the hardest one obviously being meeting with our players in Gainesville. And at that point, it felt official. And got home again, and Kira and I had the conversation with the kids.
Mark Weiser from the Athens Banner Herald. Nice to meet you. It's that time of year where there's opportunities for coaches in the profession.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have your ear to the ground if something popped up, and did you think you needed a fresh start?
I didn't have my ear to the ground per se. I was excited about an NIT run. I was going to go try to win the NIT and help those young men. I love those guys, and that team in particular. We had more adversity in the past 2 years than anyone in college basketball. This one in particular, Keontae Johnson's the best player in our league. Sat next to us the entire year and performed a coaching role to the best of his abilities and a mentorship role. Jason Jatobo becomes unavailable, just had his second surgery. Wonderful young man, can't play, and really was coming into his own after Colin Castleton had a significant shoulder injury. C.J. Felder is dealing with a hip injury. He hasn't practiced in a month. Anthony Drew, I could go on and on. We literally have been barely practicing this past month. Most practices being lately 4-on-4, 4-on-3 transition defensive drills. And the resilience, the fact that these guys continue to come back and bounce back and have positive attitudes and work and stay together and not make any excuses. Heck, I'm continuing to make excuses. Our guys just showed tremendous character, and so this team in particular, I was really, really fond of, and that was a hard conversation. And I will say this, and I wish I had said it out there. I think this current Georgia team showed a lot of that. Obviously, it was the record that no one wanted. But these guys continued to fight throughout the year. I mean, they played close games all the way till the end. Obviously, didn't have a great game in the SEC tournament, but this group of young men, too, I thought showed a lot of resiliency and character.
I'm Charles Odom with Associated Press. You referred to the fertile recruiting in the state around Atlanta, and it's been the case for decades. And, and you see evidence of it on every every SEC roster. Why do you think this program has never been able to take advantage of that fertile recruiting ground, and does that cause you concern about your ability to buck that history?
Less concern and more excitement about the challenge. The opportunity here. I think that there's been pockets of success with Georgia recruiting. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've played against some of those pockets. We didn't have much success against. And then some of it is not only the guys you sign, but the retention rate, of course. And then obviously whether or not you're going to have success with those guys. We're going to continue to recruit here nationally. We're going to start with our backyard, of course. We're going to start with this state, and there's a lot of really good players, a lot of really good coaches, high school programs, AU programs in this state. That's where we're going to start, and we're going to get the right guys. But we also want guys that really want to be here, and play to help Georgia win and buy into our staff and how we can help develop these young men into men and into the best players, the best versions of themselves.
Mike, the last 3 or 4 years, just to call the elephant out in the room, I mean, there's been no shortage of FBI, NCAA investigative-related stories attached to some of the more prominent and successful SEC programs. Obviously, Georgia wasn't among them, neither was Florida. I mean, how difficult has it been with the waters somewhat muddied the last few years in the league as the competition's gone up and programs have walked the gray area? And how much do you think this NIL era and this new collectives model we see could help Georgia and other programs that have stayed above board with their basketball recruiting?
I look forward to learning more about the collective here and the NIL opportunities, how this athletic department is operating, within that enormous factor. It's become an enormous factor, right, with your current student athletes and with recruiting, NIL, of course, and we've got to adapt. I look forward to diving into that and finding any way possible, right, to help our current student athletes. That said, circling back to the first part of your question, incredibly difficult league to recruit to, fan bases, facilities, high-level staffs, of course. We just haven't gotten into that other stuff. We don't pay attention to it. We're going to recruit the guys that we are going to target. We're going to operate with the highest level of integrity. We're not going to lie to kids. I was going to say we're going to sell a vision. I don't even like saying selling. Really, we're going to tell it how it is. This is who we are. I want you to want to be here. This is how hard we're going to work for you to become, again, the best person you can be, the best player that you can be. This is a first-class institution, and we're going to find some really good players, of course, in recruiting that really want to be here.
Having just heard from your players, we heard that there was a lack of chemistry down the stretch this season. How do you build that in your experience? What are some keys to growing that in your teams?
I think honesty, transparency, meeting, communication. How do you build chemistry with anything or anyone? You've got to talk it out, and we've got to be honest with each other. We've got to be real with each other and have real conversations. The best teams that I've led or been involved with in any way have learned and sacrificed to the level in which they're open to having open, productive conversations.
Dash, go ahead. Dash, and then we'll do Chip. Go ahead, Dash.
Coach Anthony.
And I'm good, whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm Anthony Dasher, UJSports.com.
Okay.
You talk about retention. Of course, with the transfer portal being what it is, I'm sure there'll be conversation. You're going to have your new players running about maybe their plans. Kind of, how is that going to go? Is that going to be more immediate, chores for you?
Definitely.
First, next DPD?
Yeah. First and foremost, before you even get a chance to make your staff evaluations, you got to get staff, right? And then when you do that, we've got to figure out what these guys want. Who knows what the aspirations are with some of these guys, and if there's a player that doesn't necessarily want to be here or has got one foot out the door, you want them to pursue what's best for them, what's in their best interest. It's that simple. We are going to be in the transfer portal like every team in our league this spring. It is part of the landscape of college basketball right now. We've all got to adapt.
I just wanted to ask you, Chip Towers, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, do you know of your staff? Do you know for sure that this guy's coming with you, or have you had a chance to make any decisions in terms of staff?
Zero.
Okay.
Yep.
What's your timeline on that, maybe?
I'd love to do it as quickly as possible. I'm anxious to get it done. That said, I'm not going to make any rational, emotional decisions either, because these decisions are incredibly important for the future of this program. So we're going to be very, very thorough, have lengthy conversations with guys. There are candidates out there that I've worked with that I feel very comfortable with. My phone at the same time is going nuts. You're at the University of Georgia now, and there's a lot of interest, from a lot of talented people that want to be a part of this thing like I did.
We'll go Connor, and then we'll go Palmer, and we might wrap up with that.
Yeah, I guess similar to the transfer portal there, what's your comfort level in terms of, obviously you mentioned repeatedly you want to build, and by the way, my name is Connor Riley, Dog Nation.
Yep.
What's your comfort level with using the transfer portal to fill out your roster, even though I think you've made it clear you want to build through recruiting in this program?
Yeah, it's part of recruiting, so no problem with that at all. I thought we got 4 really good transfers last year, highly rated transfers. And I'll tell you in another breath, I don't worry about the ratings, and I just told you about highly rated guys. but guys that we were really excited about, that had good years for us. Hard to replicate some of the numbers that they produced at a lower level, of course, but 4 young men that I'll have a lifelong relationship with that produced for us. The rest of our league did too. I mean, I don't know a team in our league off the top of my head that didn't have 1 or 2, even 3, 4, 5 guys that produced at a high level that were out of the portal.
Mike, with the success, Palmer Tom's Dogs HQ, with the success that Georgia has had in football and the momentum that they have, how do you try and capitalize on that and bring it to the basketball program? And does it help that you've been at a school that has a history of football success?
Yeah, a lot of similarities in that regard. I think if you've got a guy that represents at a high level, that wants everyone else to win, that wants to meet with a basketball coach before he even has a press conference, it's pretty cool. It was a neat opportunity for my family and I to spend a little time with him today, and we will absolutely talk about Georgia football when we feel like it can help us in recruiting, without a doubt.
Good deal. Thanks.
Thanks. It's been a long 24